Good evening, Florida, and welcome to Coastal Conservative News, where truth has a backbone, unlike some Republicans and definitely the Democrats, and freedom still has a home. I'm Michelle Posey.
And I'm Allie Leger. We are bringing you the bold stories and the real headlines and the voices that matter most right here from the heart of the free state of Florida.
That's right. From Tallahassee to the Suncoast, we're tracking the political shifts, community victories, and constitutional battles shaping the future of our state and our nation.
So buckle up. It's time to get informed, get fired up, and get involved. This is CCN, Coastal Conservative News.
That's right. Now let's kick things off with Katie and your week in review.
Thank you, Allie and Michelle. I'm Katie with CCN's Week in Review. If you watched last week's segment, you're definitely going to want to hear this. I've got a major update on Dr. Michael Kirk Moore, the Utah plastic surgeon who was staring down 35 years in prison for defying COVID-19 mandates. This week, on July 12th, the Department of Justice dropped all charges against Dr. Moore. Case closed. Mid-trial. His so-called crime? Helping Americans exercise their medical freedom. Dr. Moore was accused of issuing nearly 2,000 vaccine cards without administering the shot, empowering people to keep their jobs, provide for their families, and say no to government coercion. No fraud, no harm, no profit. Just a man standing between tyranny and the people it tried to control. This is bigger than one courtroom win. This is a line in the sand, a sign that Americans are waking up, and those who stood firm for freedom are finally being vindicated. Dr. Moore wasn't a criminal, he was a patriot, and now he's walking free. They're called Labubu, bizarre little figures with sharp teeth, hollow eyes, and devilish grins, marked as cute collectibles for kids. But let's call it what it is. You're messing with witchcraft, disguised as a toy. Parents across the country are speaking up, and rightfully so. These dolls look like they belong in a seance, not a toy box. With their twisted designs and occult-like themes, Labubu isn't just creepy, it's spiritually dark. Would you give your child a figure that looks like it was summoned instead of manufactured? This isn't harmless, fun. This is how darkness gets normalized. And parents need to stop brushing it off, because once you open the door to this kinds of stuff, don't be surprised what walks in. They called it stewarding the natural world. Meet Augustus Dorico, a 25-year-old tech bro, Theo fellow, and founder of weather modification startup Rainmaker. Backed by $100,000 from billionaire Pete Thiel. Dorico's company was reportedly cloud seeding over Texas just 2 days before historic floods hit the region. This isn't a theory, it's documented. It's privately funded, and it's completely unregulated. No public vote, no consent, no oversight, just one young tech founder altering the skies, while entire communities were left underwater. And here's where it gets even more alarming. The money behind it comes from Peter Thiel, co-founder of Planeteer, a powerful data company that builds software for governments to track people, analyze behavior, and monitor global events in real time. Think surveillance on steroids. And now that's the same network that's funding private weather experiments? Why is a billionaire known for backing high-level surveillance tech suddenly interested in controlling the clouds? Why is a 25-year-old with no accountability allowed to play with the atmosphere? This isn't science fiction. It's a new reality. After the superintendent recently pulled a proposed verbiage change saying the district supports all children, progressive groups are back at it, demanding policies that include pronoun enforcement, gender identity recognition, and bathroom access based on gender expression. Let's be clear, this is not about inclusion. It's about ideology. Conservatives across Sarasota are speaking out, reminding the district that there are only 2 genders. Our schools should not be turned into political battlegrounds for radical gender theory. Florida law already protects parental rights and requires transparency on these issues. It's not affirming, it's reckless. Pushing gender ideology in schools undermines science, erodes parental authority, and sows division in the classroom. Our community does not support this agenda. We believe in respecting all students, but that does not mean encouraging delusion. Sarasota parents are watching, and we will not stay silent. Thanks for watching today's segment. See you next week on CCN.
Tired of hearing the same media spin and soft-pedaled politics?
Then join Open Mic with Allie and Michelle, where we drop truth bombs, not talking points.
Every episode, we break down the headlines they want you to ignore, from DC drama to global chaos without the filter.
And now you can go deeper with our Mic Drop Crew exclusive perks, early access, and your voice on air.
Subscribe today. Be bold, be heard, be part of the movement.
Welcome back to CCN. Thank you, Katie, for that report. Now here is Raj Dorswamy with our Suncoast Community segment.
Hello, my friends. Welcome to another episode of Coastal Conservative News. I'm talking today with Andy Dubois. Andy Dubois is one of the leaders with the Republican Liberty Caucus here in Florida, past chair. Andy, with President Trump's executive order on elections, there's new interest and new viability for hand counts. We're going to watch a video that y'all had sent to me. Can you just tell a little bit about the Republican Liberty Caucus and set this video up for us?
Republican Liberty Caucus is a national organization. They have state chapters, and then they have county chapters. We have about 27 chapters in Florida right now, and we've been focused on not only liberty legislation, through time, but also we've been focused on election reform here in the state of Florida since the 2020 election. And we've really uncovered not only less than gold standard reforms that need to be made in the state of Florida, but also we've been blocked from any legislation being passed, to reform our current system. And I believe that the public trust has been diminished significantly through the use of machines through time, and not only through the use of the machines, but that has blocked any transparency that the people have in our elections. We can't see what's going on with these machines, and the elected officials from the counties all the way up to the legislature and to the governor have been blocking any type of reform, meaningful reform in our state. And I've been on this track. I've learned through my investigations that I believe that hand counting paper ballots at the precinct level is not only the solution, but it's also going to save us tons of money. We can do it for a fraction of what we spend today, and we can restore the public trust in our elections.
I know critics of hand counting say that they can't get the results in time. Those critics seem to be more interested in timeliness rather than accuracy. I know critics also say that the hand counting requires so much more people than is possible. But this video that we're about to watch that you sent me from folks in South Carolina actually demonstrates the viability and accuracy of the election process. So really interesting. Can we go and play that video right now, Andy?
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So again, from South Carolina, this video here, and we're going to come right back after this video.
Voters have lost confidence in their elections. Polls show nearly 2/3 of Americans doubt election results, citing vulnerabilities in electronic voting systems and a lack of transparency. This distrust undermines our republic. The solution? Hand-counted, hand-marked paper ballots, ensuring every vote is accessible, transparent, verifiable, and secure. In seeking to restore trust in our elections, Let's walk through voting and counting with hand-marked paper ballots, revealing why this is the gold standard for secure, transparent elections and aligned with new federal election standards. On March 25, 2025, President Trump signed an executive order to strengthen election integrity. This order requires proof of citizenship and ID for voter registration, ensuring only U.S. citizens can vote.
Hi, Shelby. Here's your ballot and your pen, and here's instructions.
After receiving a ballot from polling personnel the voter completes on their own,
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
the voter's privacy must be maintained as required by most state statutes. Once completed, the voter seals their ballot and drops into a ballot box. Due to recent voting system certification standards set by the executive order, many electronic voting machines, untested or uncertified, will likely not be ready for the 2026 midterms. This means a departure from all systems reliant on counting votes in secret and a return to the gold standard of hand-counted, hand-marked paper ballots, critical to safe, secure elections where everyone trusts the results. Upon closing the polls, election judges observed by the public open the ballot boxes. Ballots are sorted into batches of 25. If ballots have security features, workers verify them. Transparency is key. A simple overhead camera records the count, making it possible to confirm results later. There are many ways to count votes. Today we will demonstrate just two: the gold standard tally method and the A-countable dotting method. Both ensure accessibility, transparency, verifiability, and security. The tally method uses a bipartisan team of 2 callers and 2 talliers. Callers take a stack of 25 ballots and read off a race, calling out the name of the candidate on each ballot. Talliers mark blue slashes on a numbered tally sheet and then match their ending numbers for each candidate at the end of the batch. If counts match, they switch to a red pen for the next batch of 25, and the process is repeated.
Janet. Daniel. Janet.
Notice that the tone of the caller's voice changes, or there is a brief pause when a different candidate is called. This helps to keep talliers on track. Reconciliation is important. If talliers' counts differ, they immediately recount the same stack of ballots, marking opposite direction slashes. If a third recount is required, they fill in the numbered box on the tally sheet with ink. Recounting does not happen often as errors are rare and quickly addressed, unlike a machine count where errors are hidden and corrections become controversial. This method can be easily used with almost any existing ballot styles. All you need is people, paper, and pens. Testing has repeatedly shown that a 4-person team can count 250 ballots with 11 races in roughly 3 hours. Another approach is the A-countable method, where numbers instead of names are called out and optional layers of security and transparency are put in place. These could be applied to other hand tabulation methods as well. First, a caller takes a ballot and then clearly announces the numbers associated with the choices. As the caller announces the choices, 2 counters are listening for the numbers called and recording the corresponding vote by dotting the box with a marker on the tally sheet. A second caller listens and visually confirms the caller is accurately announcing the correct candidate. This method employs large, visible spots for marking, ensuring clarity for participants, observers, and overhead cameras. Note the numbers in each box on the tally sheet, which further helps minimize errors. After the batch is complete, the talliers total up the number of dots in each column, then write those totals at the bottom. The 2 talliers compare their numbers to make sure they match. If their totals don't align, they review the race in question, marking any correction in red. The unique design of the tally sheet enables rapid error detection and real-time corrections, eliminating the need for a full ballot recount. This method also creates a paper-based report similar to a cast vote record for each ballot option, ensuring exceptional auditability. Regardless of which method is used, final results are verified by the voting location manager, who signs the results page. This procedure should be recorded by overhead camera, and the final results scanned to PDF. All participants in this procedure should receive their own copy of this document with another sent to the county, and a public copy posted on the precinct door. This redundancy results in multiple layers of unprecedented transparency and verifiability. When people trust their elections, they accept and defend the results. As clearly evidenced, there are reliable solutions to hand-counting hand-marked paper ballots. Hand counting was done successfully for many decades, and we can do it again with modern methods of accountability. The process is simple, inexpensive, and engages the electorate. Elections for the people, by the people.
Super important. Wow, what a great video that is. And what good timing. So again, we got the President Trump's executive order, number one. Number two, that video showed two methods. In addition to those methods, and by the way, we should probably put on the screen where people can watch that video. You can see the link right there. Take a picture of it. If you're watching this, take a picture of this link right here, and you can watch that video. Share this interview that you're hearing between Andy and myself to people in your life. Also, critics of the process. They say it'll take too long. We won't be able to get the results at 9:00 p.m. that day. They say that getting results by 9 p.m. that day is why we are, quote unquote, a gold standard. Isn't primarily accuracy the goal, or is it timeliness? Obviously, we got states
yes.
out
there. Yeah, accuracy is paramount. That's number one. But I believe that we can do this. It's at the precinct level, okay, which is in our county, for example, there's 90 plus precincts. And most of those precincts have an average of maybe 1,600 ballots that are counted in a day on election day. And that can easily be handled by a counting table, maybe two counting tables. And if the counting tables start counting ballots as the ballots come in at the beginning of the day on election day, then it only takes a few hours, and we won't be far off if not done by 9:00 at night, with that precinct. And all that precinct has to do is report, to the county clerk, the county supervisor of elections. So I believe it's doable. At the beginning, I too was not a believer. I questioned, hey, we need these machines. We got to have these machines to get this quick result. And what I've learned is that not only is hand counting possible, but it can be performed at a fraction of what we spend today. And it engages the public. I know myself, and I know many people in my precinct, that if we had an opportunity to show up and hand count ballots, it would be no problem for us to get enough folks to go do that. And the other thing I'd like to say, the transparency. I mean, nowadays we can video what goes on in precincts and county tables.
I saw that. There's a camera right there creating so much transparency. I saw that was simple, right? It's very simple. Go ahead, keep going.
Very, very simple.
So on the screen right now is yet another resource. You can see the website there, accountable.org. This one is designed for election officials that are looking at this. How many people will it take? How long will it take? Just come here, click on the calculator here, and this will bring you to a tool where you can get all of that information. So it's customized for you. Another critic of this hand counting is they say, oh, this can only be used in places like France where they have very simple ballots. It never would work in the United States where we have complicated multi-page ballots. The fact is, here's the facts. Tests have already been done. Time studies have already been done with US ballots, multiple page ballots, multiple race ballots. And every time the tests are done, it is shown and demonstrated that this can actually be done within a reasonable time constraint. So reports are provided within a reasonable amount of time, not like some of these dysfunctional states that I think are still counting. I don't even know if they're done counting. They're so incompetent in some of those states. But in states like Florida and other states that have got a very competent set of election officials, hand counting is definitely viable. Now, it's also important to note for the public that with the current process, the companies that provide the computer-based hand counting have already been found to fail state testing standards. Those companies have already been found to fail standards that other industries have to meet with regard to the type of software, the version of the software, the patches of the software. They're using versions of the of business technology that are now obsolete. So there are a number of reasons to take a good look at this. Regardless of what the reasons are, we're going to have a huge surge in people that ask for this. A huge source in number of people that ask for this. And so I want to bring up another resource here for you. And Andy, you and I were actually at an event, I think, yesterday at Sumter County. And at that event on Sumter County, I think the video started playing. Let me stop that. There we go. At that event in Sumter County, we were talking about the Reclaim campaign. And Andy, this is a strategy. It's not a group. It's a strategy where you can actually bring these different groups together. Because what we're finding, Andy, and I think we talked about this yesterday, is that there are all of these brilliant people working so hard in all these different areas. Andy and I are talking about elections right now, but we've got people in medical freedom, reclaim financing, human trafficking, education, faith, on and on and on. And these groups are working apart from each other, working hard but apart from each other. The Reclaim campaign seeks to bring these people together. Why? Because when we bring people together, we can get a higher level of candidate identified, recruited, trained, and vetted. We can do a better job of fundraising. This was a big topic at the town hall meeting that we had yesterday. People were skeptical about some counties not being highly competent in the election process. And we had talked about how it's important to even do a stronger job in fundraising so that you can get your candidate over the finish line, no matter and regardless of whether or not there are weaknesses in the election process in that particular county. So a lot more information on reclaimcampaign.com for people to check into. If you're interested in that, make sure that you go to that website because that event is taking place on July 26th. But the deadline to buy a ticket, if you're interested in going, is July 20th. So Andy, let's go back to the hand counting material that we just talked about. I'm going to go back to a couple of websites here. But let's look at the one in Lake County over here. What is the next move? So your location, Lake County, Lake and Sumter County, you guys have got the video here. You can see it right here. I'm clicking on it. This is the video we just looked at right here. Click on the read more. What should people do next, Andy, to move this idea forward?
Well, I mentioned earlier, I believe it's going to be a seismic shift. I mean, the Republican Party, as well as our legislature and the governor, up and down the food chain in our state, have locked out for 4 years now any type of election reforms that have to do with hand counting. We've even had bills where we just wanted to make it optional, let the county decide, to allow the citizens to hand count in a precinct or two, in a race or two, just as a demonstration. And that it's been blocked. That's the tell for me. And I know we have tens of millions of dollars that are tied up in taxpayer funding in contracts for these machines. And the elected officials have totally locked out any type of reform. That's the tell for me. So when you mention what is our next step is to convince the citizens, as I was convinced. I was very suspicious in the beginning. I didn't think hand counting was doable, possible, or had any merit at all. And I've been convinced otherwise by viewing the videos, by doing demonstrations, and participating with local groups that are actually performing hand count of ballot demonstrations. So I suggest that anybody that is interested in this share that video, because we need a seismic shift among the people in order to get this to be heard by our elected officials that ultimately work for us. They represent us, and that's the whole thrust here for me.
Well said, Andy. We're talking about Andy Dubois, who is a member of the Sumter County RLC, Republican Liberty Caucus. We've shown you the website there. This is the Republican Liberty Caucus, a conscience of the Republican Party. We want you, my friends, to share this video with the people in your life and see how we can move this forward. Andy, thank you very much for speaking with me today. I so appreciate it. If you want to know where to find that video, that's the link right there. If you want to know where to find the video, that's the link right there. If you want to mobilize people so that we can get some of these things done by bringing people together who are currently working apart, that's the link right there, reclaimcampaign.com. Andy, a pleasure as always speaking with you. Look forward to having you again with us soon.
God bless. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Raj, for that report. Next up is our Political Pulse segment right here on CCN.
Good evening, Florida, and welcome to Political Pulse here on Coastal Conservative News. I'm Allie Leger.
And I'm Michelle Posey. Tonight, we're diving into the week's top headlines from the Sunshine State, from explosive courtroom victories to powerful calls for accountability and record-shattering economic growth.
Florida continues to lead on every front, and we're giving you the pulse of what's really happening. Let's begin with an emotional and much-needed moment of truth at this week's Health Freedom Press Conference. Florida Surgeon General Dr. Joseph Ladapo is once again going where few public officials will, calling on the federal government to provide support, resources, and healing modalities for Americans injured by the COVID-19 mRNA jab.
And I was there on the ground for this powerful event. The stories from those injured were gut-wrenching, and Dr. Ladapo didn't shy away. He said, and I'm quoting him, "We cannot ignore the suffering of these individuals any longer. They deserve recognition, research, and real healing options."
Florida is once again leading the way with courage where D.C. refuses to act.
That's right. Take a quick listen to a little bit of that press conference with Ladapo.
Quick question. So can you speak a little bit to the determination to remove it from the vaccine schedule for healthy children versus the verbiage of saying for all children?
Yeah, I mean, I hope that we get there. Obviously, there's a difference, and I hope that we get there, because these products, they should not be used in any human beings, and there's some people who are trying to put them in animals too, and I think any of us wouldn't want to eat that food.
And Allie, not only did he answer our question there, but he also went out and said, "Listen, this is not at all a jab towards Trump. Trump really was following the experts that were surrounding him. But now that we know what we know, there's a good chance for Kennedy and Trump to join forces with Ladapo and other doctors across the country that are seeing this vaccine injured, case after case after case, and let's get some real funding behind helping them." So.
And his courage is contagious, and we're hoping that other surgeon generals in other states are also going to take his lead and follow behind him in asking for the same things.
Absolutely. And speaking of, landmark decisions and leading the way, the Florida Supreme Court has ruled in favor of Republican lawmakers in the congressional redistricting battle.
In their decision, the court stated, "We uphold our state's congressional districting plan because the Federal Equal Protections Clause prohibits the racially gerrymandered district the plaintiffs demand."
This is a win for constitutional law and election integrity, reminding us that race-based lines are not only divisive, they are unlawful.
And this is something that we have been battling for about a year now, and it's nice to be vindicated. So thank you so much, Supreme Court of Florida.
Yes.
Speaking of fearless leaders, our fearless Attorney General James Uthmeyer is taking a strong stand once again, this time against the U.S. Masters Swimming Association, which quietly enacted a temporary policy allowing biological males to compete in women's competitions. I thought there was a law against that.
I thought so too. AG Uthmeyer made it crystal clear, in case anybody is doubting. He said, quote, "We will hold you accountable if you endanger our women and girls, real men in leadership. He's demanding immediate written assurance that no male competitors will be permitted in female events, or the state will pursue legal action.
Florida is drawing the line, and it's protecting women, not appeasing woke activists.
I love that. Allie, this week, Governor DeSantis appointed Senator Blaise Ingoglia as Florida's new CFO, Chief Financial Officer, passing over Senator Joe Gruters, and the governor made it very clear why.
He did indeed. In a bold statement, DeSantis took Gruters to task over his legislative record and loyalty. Let's take a listen.
No disrespect to our new CFO, I'm curious why you didn't tap Senator Joe Gruters, who has Trump's endorsement.
Thanks for that question.
Yeah, no problem.
Like I said in my comments, I go by your record. Political campaigning, political stuff, to me, is not as important about what's your record in office. And if you look at somebody like Joe Gruters, he's voted to violate Floridians' Second Amendment rights. Blaise has stood in favor of Second Amendment rights. We did landmark legislation to hold teacher unions accountable for their partisan activism. It was a huge achievement for Republicans. Joe Gruters sided with the teacher unions rather than side with conservatives. On immigration, he was the author and architect of this terrible amnesty bill, which would have made everything I've done, including Alligator Alcatraz, to help President Trump's illegal immigration removal agenda illegal in the state of Florida. Even protecting our coasts with the boats from the Haitians coming in, we wouldn't have been able to do that. He also authored legislation that would have put gender ideology as a special class in Florida law. We've done the opposite since I've been governor. And then when we had the fight over Amendment 3, Joe Gruters sided with the mega weed company Trulieve and was joining with liberal Democrats to try to do it. So his record is contrary to what we've told the voters that we would do. And it's all about doing what you said you were going to do, delivering. Blaise has done what the voters that have elected all of us expect. Joe Gruters has taken major positions that are totally contrary from what our voter base wants to do. So when it comes to making an appointment, I have to go on the record. And I can tell you, if Blaise supported the Perez-Gruters amnesty bill, he would not be standing on this stage today. That's just the truth. And I like him personally, but it doesn't matter. It's all about the record. So if George Washington rose from the dead and came back and tapped me on the shoulder and said, will you appoint Joe Gruters CFO? My response would be, no, I can't do that without betraying the voters that elected me to lead this state in a conservative direction.
Yeah, it's more than a personal decision. It's a message. Florida's leadership is expected to walk the walk. You know, just a little sidebar here. I think a lot of this still has to do with Gruters' loyalty that he really had towards Trump. And you've seen that happen in our state house where some had their loyalty to DeSantis, some had their loyalty to Trump. So we'll kind of keep an eye on that and see how that plays out.
I think that did play a little bit into it. However, when DeSantis did talk about Joe Gruters' record with his voting record, I mean, he was not very strong on the Second Amendment, and that was an issue. Yes. Blaise Ingoglia actually did do what our voters had intended for him to do, and so he was walking the talk, not just talking it. So,
and I think if you look back, Blaise and Joe Gruters were on differing sides, even with the immigration policy that Florida. So let's keep an eye on that, definitely.
In other news, Florida just ranked #1 in the nation for economic strength for the third year in a row, according to CNBC.
And we might just believe the lamestream news on this one. They highlighted, guys, that our job growth, our state's finances, we do have a big surplus, and a booming business formation as the cause. Florida also boasts the lowest debt per capita, no state income tax, and the top-ranked public higher education system in the country.
Governor DeSantis said it best: freedom works, fiscal responsibility works, and Florida is proof.
That is so true. Guys, Florida's new education commissioner wasted absolutely no time asserting priorities, sending memos statewide affirming that parental rights come first in all educational decisions.
He didn't stop there. He also sent a message of support directly to teachers saying, quote, "You have my full backing to create positive, values-driven classrooms for our students."
I love that. This is the kind of leadership that inspires, not just manages.
Absolutely. And speaking of inspiration, Florida is seeing a red wave like never before. Florida young Republicans have grown 65% in membership, thanks largely to an influx of conservatives leaving blue states.
We love that. Bring yourselves here, but do not bring your voting record if you voted for blue policies in blue states, right? According to the state chair, Brandon Ludwig, this momentum is driven by strong leadership, bold values, and a culture that welcomes unapologetic conservatism. We actually saw this at Turning Point as well.
Turning Point USA.
I love our young people.
Student Action Summit was great. And with that momentum, it's no surprise that the next generation of leadership is rising fast.
Absolutely. Now, polling for our upcoming gubernatorial race shows Congressman Byron Donalds leading in all three major polls.
This is a huge early signal that the Republican base is energized and ready for bold leadership to continue after DeSantis. Here's a quick clip.
It's always been in your corner. That's made the difference, hasn't it? Trump and the power of the presidency.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, I'm honored to have President Trump's endorsement to be Florida's next governor. And so with that support, we've been all over the state meeting with groups. I mean, Stu, I was in Sarasota a couple of days ago. It was a women's lunch when they don't hold the lunch in the summertime in the middle of July because it's very, very hot. The place was packed. We're very excited, but we have a long way to go in this race. At the end of the day, Florida is the best state in the country. We have had great leadership. Governor DeSantis has done a great job. My job, what I'm asking the voters of Florida to do is give me that opportunity to make sure that we keep us as the best state in the country and take our state to a whole nother level.
That's right. Donalds has national recognition, a proven record, and a fearless voice. This race is heating up, and it's definitely one to watch.
So keep your eyes peeled. Now, from defending women and children to reforming education to leading the country in economic strength, Florida continues to lead by example.
We're not waiting for Washington to wake up or to fix all the issues. This doesn't ride on Trump's shoulders solely. We're building a future grounded in freedom, faith, and family right here in the Sunshine State.
Thank you for joining us tonight on Political Pulse. We'll keep shining the light so you can stay informed, engaged, and empowered.
Girl, say it. It has been a week, and it's only Tuesday.
Girl, it has been a month. It's 2025. I need to read the
terms
and conditions.
We should have read the fine print before we celebrated.
There's been so much going on with me. I don't know how to get rid of detox almost and get clarity.
It feels like it's almost like you can't think. It's hard to kind of focus on work and focus on being a mom and all the things that we juggle as women.
Because we want to excel at it, right?
Well, that's why we're here at We the People Health and Wellness Center.
Yeah. Get rid of the brain fog.
Get rid of the brain fog.
We're getting the brainstorm.
Brainstorm.
That's make it rain.
Yes.
And now we go to Kevin with this week's Faith in Focus.
Hello, welcome to Faith in Focus. Today we're diving into one of the most awe-inspiring topics in cosmology, the fine-tuning of the universe. How is it that the cosmos, with its vast complexity, seems perfectly calibrated to support life? Let's unpack this incredible phenomenon, from the precision of cosmological constants to what some of the greatest minds, secular and Christian alike, have said about it. Imagine a universe where the force of gravity is just a fraction stronger or weaker. Stars might collapse too quickly, or planets might never even form. Or consider the delicate balance of entropy, the measure of disorder in the universe. Too much chaos and galaxies couldn't hold together. Too little and life-sustaining processes wouldn't even function. These are just two of the many cosmological constants, numbers, that govern the fundamental forces and properties of the universe that are fine-tuned to a precision that completely defies human comprehension. Let's talk about numbers for a moment. The gravitational constant, for example, is fine-tuned within 1 part in 10 to the 60th powers. That's a 1 followed by 60 zeros. To put that into perspective, it's like hitting a bullseye the size of a single atom on a dartboard the size of the observable universe. Cosmologist Roger Penrose has calculated that the odds of the universe having the precise level of entropy needed for life are even more staggering. 1 part in 10 to the 10 to the 123rd power. That's a number so large and practically unimaginable. These aren't random accidents. They point to a universe that seems designed with purpose. Now let's rewind to the early 20th century. Albert Einstein, one of history's greatest scientific minds, introduced a term called the cosmological constant into his equations for general relativity. He did this to make the universe static, neither expanding nor contracting, because that's what most scientists assumed at the time. But when Edwin Hubble discovered in the 1920s that the universe was, in fact, expanding, Einstein reportedly called his cosmological constant his biggest blunder. Why? Because the evidence pointed to a dynamic universe with a beginning, a concept that aligns strikingly with the biblical accounts of creation. Einstein's blunder turned out to be a key insight, as the cosmological constant is now understood to play a critical role in the universe's fine-tuning, governing the rate of expansion to allow galaxies, stars, and planets to form. So what do leading cosmologists, secular and Christian, say about the fine-tuning? Let's start with the secular side. Sir Fred Hoyle, a renowned British astronomer and agnostic, was stunned by the precision of the universe. He famously said, "A common-sense interpretation of the facts suggests that a super-intellect has monkeyed with physics as well as chemistry and biology, and that there are no blind forces worth speaking about in nature." That's pretty profound. That's a bold statement from someone who wasn't arguing from faith. Similarly, physicist Paul Davies, who doesn't identify as religious, has written extensively about fine-tuning in his book, The Goldilocks Enigma. He notes that the universe seems just right for life, like a cosmic Goldilocks, finding everything perfectly balanced, he said. The impression of design is overwhelming. These are secular scientists wrestling with the idea that the universe precision points to something beyond mere chance. Now let's hear from Christian voices. Astrophysicist Hugh Ross, founder of Reasons to Believe, argues that the fine-tuning of the universe is powerful evidence for a purposeful, intelligent design. In his book, The Creator and the Cosmos, Ross lists dozens of parameters like the strong nuclear force, electromagnetic force, and even the ratio of protons to electrons that must be precisely calibrated for life to even exist. He sees this as a reflection of God's intentional craftsmanship, echoing Psalms 19:1. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Another Christian cosmologist, John Polkinghorne, a physicist and Anglican priest, has said, "The universe is not only stranger than we imagine, it is stranger than we can imagine. But it is also a universe that seems to be astonishingly well suited for life." Polkinghorne sees the fine-tuning as a bridge between science and faith, pointing to a purposeful design woven into the fabric of reality. So what does this mean for us? The fine-tuning of the universe invites us to marvel at the precision and beauty of creation. Whether it's the gravitational constant, the entropy of the early universe, or the delicate balance of forces, the cosmos seems engineered for life, our life. For those of us with faith, it's a reminder that God's handiwork is not only vast but intentional, designed to sustain us and point us back to Him. As we reflect on this, let's consider Romans 1:20. For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, His eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made. The fine-tuned universe is a testament to that truth, inviting skeptics and believers alike to ponder the question: could this really be an accident, or is it the work of a purposeful, intelligent design? That's all for this segment of Faith in Focus. Join us next time as we continue to explore the wonders of God's creation and how faith and science illuminate each other. Until then, keep looking up, because the heavens are telling a story. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, Kevin, for keeping our Faith in Focus front and center this week.
That's right. For Coastal Conservative News, guys, I'm Michelle Posey.
And I'm Allie Leger.
We'll see you next week at 7 p.m. right here.
God bless you, and God bless the great state of Florida.